New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five-Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
Now, back to Sports Time. Sports This hour is brought to you by Lexus Service. Here are your hosts, Let's Talk Sports with Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We got to talk more Super Bowl. It was all Eagles last night, 40-22. And I guess we should just go ahead and say it. With all the picks through the season, it all came down to the Super Bowl. I went with the Chiefs. Connor and Darian went with the Eagles. And so, Brett, that means a three-way tie.
Three-way tie. In points, 37 in points for the year. I totaled it all up. Where you made up ground was your college football shock picks. Right. Winning those straight up and getting 2 points all year. College football this year, we made 97 picks.
Wow. It's a lot of picks.
46 bowl games. Well. So I had 97 to 4, so 143 college games. 147 NFL games for a total of 290 games picked.
Wow.
Darian won the season pick total at 157 and 133. No, yeah. And Connor was 156 and 134.
Wow.
You were 154 and 136.
Oh, wow.
But you got there with making up the points on lock picks. For the year, I was 142 and 148. Ooh. Just horrible in college. Ooh. NFL, I won the NFL picks. I was 86 and 81, 585. I signed up for 585 the rest of time times a billion.
You got to. That's great picking.
But college, not so well. 369 for me. A 402 regular for the regular season, but a three-way tie, and we're going to award it a tie. No playoff.
I love it. Hang the banners now. Three-way tie.
AP, UPI, Football Writers Association.
Exactly
3 champions.
Right. Yep. Ugh, good Lord. Well, that's how it goes. Going back to something I brought up with my top story, Jake Elliott and what he did. 4 for 4 field goals, 4 for 4 extra points, 16 total points for the Eagles. This is a guy in Jake Elliott. Love Jake Elliott, but this was not one of his better seasons since joining the NFL. He really struggled at times this year. I think I looked it up earlier, about 76, 77%, somewhere in that range, certainly in the 70s, percentage field goal percentage this year. But
he needed that game.
When the lights were the brightest, he was fantastic.
Automatic and deep into the net. I mean, made it look easy, and he had that kind of day that I think he needed for them to maybe not bring in competition.
Oh yeah,
in the exhibition season next year.
Yeah, that's a good point because I know there was one or two times I was watching this year, watching a game and, not pointing to the fact of, oh, they're going to make a move, but, just a lot of talk from commentators about, hey, he's struggling this year, would the Eagles try to bring somebody else in? And, but he stepped up when it mattered and really made some big time kicks for the Eagles. And you're right, he really needed that, but he was fantastic last night and certainly a good showing for the University of Memphis.
A great showing, and I know a lot of people very proud of kickers. Stephen Gostkowski's on the Hall of Fame ballot for next year.
Yeah.
I don't think he's getting in, but you had a good career when you land on the Hall of Fame ballot.
Yeah. When you're even in the conversation for Hall of Fame, you know that you had a pretty good career. And speaking of those two, I know Jonah Dillon had a tweet earlier today kind of about those two kickers being former Memphis kickers. This was the tweet from him. He has a story to go along with it. Jake Elliott is now the most accurate kicker in Super Bowl history after going 4 of 4 on Sunday. The former Memphis Tiger is also now tied with Harrison Butker for most Super Bowl field goals at 9. Tied for second, Stephen Gostkowski, fellow Tiger. So really, really good in the kicking category.
Sure is. And the Tigers with a back to Super Bowl II with Harry Shue playing for the Raiders and then undefeated Dolphins with Charlie Babb at defensive back. Tigers in Super Bowl go way, way back. All right, I want you to be the programmer here. You ready?
Okay.
Landon, you jump in too. Here are the Eagles' opponents. We don't know days. We'll get dates.
Okay.
More toward middle of May. But here are the opponents, and they're going to accommodate the Super Bowl champion with opening at home, and they should. Here they are. They have the Cowboys, Giants, Commanders, Bears, Lions, Broncos, Raiders, and Rams as 2025 home opponents. Who do you schedule that first Thursday night game against that will draw minimum 60 million?
Yeah, it's gonna be a big. I say Lions, Eagles, week 1. Let's do it.
Landon?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that, but I think depending on the moves that the Cowboys make this offseason, it might be a good rivalry game.
Oh, division matchup week 1. Oh, I would hate that. Oh, I would hate it.
And the TV appeal, the ratings appeal, the Cowboy, there's your home opener.
Let's just be honest, Brett.
It's going to be one of those two.
It's going to be one of those two. But let's be honest. Would, America, what team is more relevant, the Cowboys or the Lions? Which team is a better team, the Cowboys or the Lions? Do you want a good game for the first game?
I'm going to put it to you like this. They both have silver helmets. One has a pouncing lion and one has the star.
That's right. Yeah, thank you.
Okay? One is affectionately for a long time been known as America's team, and one has been a doormat. Not right now.
I was going to say, one's a lot better than the other right now.
What about Jaden Daniels and the Commanders?
That'd be fun,
kind of where the NFC ended.
Yeah, exactly.
It begins next
year. That rematch of the conference championship. Certainly, Jaden Daniels coming off Rookie of the Year. You got Jalen Hurts with the Super Bowl MVP. That would be a lot of really fun storylines to start the season.
And if it's not against Dallas, you can get ready for that to be a Sunday night game.
Oh yeah.
And if it's not against Detroit, that'd be a Sunday night game.
The idea of the Cowboys starting next season 0-1. And 0-1 in the division with a loss against the Eagles. Oh, please.
But if you're the Cowboys, wouldn't you rather go to and play Philly in September than in December?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I even take the weather out of it. I would take Eagles on the road early in the season rather than late in the season.
And it's over with.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm kind of thinking about it.
And you get the longer stretch to get ready for week 2, and the league would accommodate them being at home and should.
Oh, yeah. They certainly would. So no, but I think one of those three, Cowboys, Commanders, or Lions, I think you feel pretty good that it's going to be one of those opponents.
I came out of yesterday liking even more and respecting even more Patrick Mahomes.
How so?
Got pounded and stayed in there and took his whipping.
He did. No, it was
when they didn't have anything working.
It was bad. It was really bad. I mean, you made you brought up the good point of the great observation Tom Brady made last night. Of you look at his feet early, and he just could not do anything. He was trying to run around. His feet were just. He was racing to try to just find some sort of
I don't know that he was 100%. I'm not making an excuse. That wasn't the reason. But even he was asked somewhere last week, where you physically, and he said, "Well, I've been better."
Yeah, well, certainly, and that was not that was a game where you needed him 100%. And
was that it for Travis Kelce?
I don't think so.
Couldn't get open. Nobody could get open. Nobody was open.
Nobody could get open. But yeah, just not a good game for him. I mean, 4 receptions. We didn't even talk about him in the opening segment because he was just he was not a factor at all. 4 receptions for 39 yards, only 6 targets on the game. His long reception was 13 yards. I mean, just
Eagles led for almost 52 minutes of the game.
Well, that'll do it.
And their fans took over the dome.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was They took over pretty good in Minneapolis at Super Bowl 52. I was there, but that was complete domination of Kansas City.
Yeah.
And for Kansas City, I bet a lot of their fans, we've done it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a factor.
We've been to the Super Bowl city.
They throw up the. I think last night they do it every Super Bowl, but I think last night I forgot which one they were comparing it to. But Super Bowls now versus Super Bowls then in terms of pricing, you just see that average price of a Super Bowl ticket. If your team's going there, exactly. If your team's going there every single year, maybe you can make one, maybe. And so, I'm sure
by yourself.
Exactly. So for a lot of Kansas City fans, it's we can't go. Then for the Eagles, we're back there. Who knows? Next time we'll be here, and let's go and show up. Because you're right, they were there, they were loud, and their Eagles showed up for them.
I bet you the New Orleans restaurant bar scene hated to see them leave.
Oh man, it was. It looked like a great week down there for businesses and bars, and looked packed all week long.
It did. New Orleans did a great job.
It looked really good.
And after the blackout at 47, they had triple, quadruple, 25 backups. It was no way for the plug to get pulled.
No, I'm sure every day you had 2 or 3 checks. All right, turn all the lights off.
President there.
Back up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There was no way something was going to fail.
It's like when the new building has the first big simultaneous. Everybody flushes at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah.
They flushed and pulled plugs
That's right,
and made sure they didn't lose
Shut
power.
Everything down. Turn it back on. Everything at the same time, and then we'll see.
Make sure it doesn't go out. The final rushing number, 135 to 49. Yeah. We know that wins almost every time. Oddly, Kansas City won the passing total. Again, you got to win that rushing battle in big games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and just, Kansas City, we talked about it, Kareem Hunt, 9 yards on 3 carries. Samaje Perine, 8 yards on 1 carry. Isaiah Pacheco, 7 yards on 3 carries. When Patrick Mahomes is your leading rusher at 25 yards, that is not that's not good. And so they said, hey, Patrick, you got to do something with your arm because that defensive line for the Eagles were making it so tough, could not get any room to run. And so, Patrick Mahomes was throwing around a lot. It's what led to 2 interceptions. I wasn't surprised that Kansas City won the passing battle, but you said it. It all comes down to the rushing battle, and, it was all Philadelphia without Saquon Barkley being super efficient.
And I bet they are because they're really on top of things and do a great job. I hope the marketing department at the University of Memphis, as soon as we get schedules and dates out, try to coordinate where they can have Jake Elliott back and honor him at a home game next year.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be really cool. I know they posted a video last night of him celebrating with his son right after the game on the field. So really cool to see that. And that'd be really cool if you could get all 3 of those guys back for a home game and really just celebrate having 3 former players on a Super Bowl champion team. I hope they're getting on that, and because that would be really cool to see. But let's go ahead and get to another break. When we come back, we got to talk about the Tigers and their win over Temple. That's a a college in Philadelphia. There were a handful of Temple fans there yesterday.
Where did that make it in the Inquirer today?
Well, that's probably a lot of pages back from all of the Eagles. But there were some Temple fans, some Temple parents in attendance last night rocking their Eagles gear. So it was cool to see that at FedEx Forum. But when we come back, we're talking Tigers. That's next on Sports Time.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday, it's happy hour from 3 to 6. $1 off all draft meals, $5 off meal drinks, $4.50 for house wine, mozzarella sticks, queso, corn dogs, and more. Friday night lights from 7 to 11. Dining and mozzarella wings, $8 free. Watch college football and every pro game. All at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland. Highway 70, fall is football.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five-Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
Join us celebrating 26 years of Napa Cafe. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I'm inviting you over for dinner. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner of scrumptious combinations, fresh salads, homemade soups, or maybe start with an appetizer, like our baked Dungeness crab dip with manchego cheese, lemon, garlic, and French baguette toast. Drift into one of our fresh seafood dishes, like the caramelized sea scallops with curry beurre blanc, black forbidden rice, and Thai mango salad. Or our ancho honey glazed salmon with creamy black bean puree, avocado pico de gallo, and jalapeno crema. Maybe you're looking for something cozy and comforting, like our Duroc pork chop with apple brandy demi-glaze and blue cheese bacon mashed potatoes. We have something for everyone. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. I'd sure love to see you.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you For water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? We have it covered at Humdinger. It's quick, it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. Many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We got to talk the Tigers. They were in action yesterday afternoon at home against Temple, the only team that has beaten them in conference play. The rematch yesterday afternoon, Tigers 90-82 win over the Temple Owls. It was put out there on social media by Jason Munns about 20 or so minutes, 30 minutes before the game started, that Tyrese Hunter would not start for the Tigers. That kind of started off as he would not be in the starting lineup for the Tigers, and then we learned he would not play for the Tigers against Temple. Same injury he's been dealing with all year long, that knee. Something flared up, not able to go yesterday, so they were without him. Dante Harris moved into the starting lineup, gave Memphis some really, really good minutes, and the Tigers win another one, and now they're up to number 14 in the AP poll that was put out today about noon.
Pretty big jump. Three spot jump in the AP. Memphis at 14. About 25 points behind Arizona, just with a little attrition this week. The Tigers keep on winning. That slow creep continues. Now, do I think Memphis, if it translated today, are they a 4 seed? I don't. I think today would probably be a 5. We'll visit with Shelby Mast at about 4:30, and we'll talk where he has them. I don't think they're going to be where he has them located right now. I think it'll be somewhere in between. I think Tyrese Hunter is the key to the team, and to be able to go out there and do the star of the team is P.J. Haggerty. But I think what Hunter gives you, both ends, offense and defense, I think he is the linchpin to the team. And to go out there and take care of business, really play from ahead all day. There wasn't a nervous moment one. Okay, the point spread. Again, just like in those other games. The object of the game is to win. And they won. And now at 20 wins, and something that Tiger fans can be very proud of. 20 wins is not the marker that it once was in college basketball. It's not as significant as it once was, but it's not insignificant either.
Right.
And that's a 20-win season every year of the decade of the 21st century.
Yeah, which is, really good. I mean, a lot of programs would strive for that.
I don't know that you hang a banner, but you dang sure are proud of it.
No, yeah, I think you're definitely proud of it, and you mentioned it. The way that game went last night.
The banner I want hung.
What's
National runner-up.
Yeah, that's right.
2008. It ought to be up at the next game, and just beg the NCAA, tell them to take it down.
I wish, but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen.
I wouldn't play footsie with the NCAA again on anything, anywhere. I wish every one of these schools would go back and set these basketball and football media guides. What happened on the floor was the win or the loss.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wish they would.
Or the field.
Yeah, but I wish they would. I don't think we will see that anytime soon.
Played 8 guys yesterday, 5 in double digits. Rogers with 9, Carter with 8, Okoji the only Bagel. And I think his minutes have been contributory lately.
Yeah, no, I think he's given them some good minutes. He didn't get a ton of action last night, or I guess yesterday afternoon. But I think when they've called on him, he's done some good things. He looks like a young guard, kind of what you expect.
The loss
in
at
college.
Temple was not a bad loss.
No, and you look
I don't think the Tigers have a bad loss. I don't.
No. I
3
don't
games,
either.
3 days to Auburn. A bunch of people have lost to Auburn.
A ton have lost to Auburn, so no, nothing to be worried about there. And you look at the biggest issue in that game on the road against Temple was the rebounding. You got out-rebounded 49-25. You gave up 22 offensive rebounds. Yesterday, you win the rebounding battle 26-24, and you limit them to only 8 offensive rebounds. So they did a much better job on the glass. And you look at what Temple did last year. They were making some tough shots all afternoon. They go out, shoot 50% from the field, 50% from 3, and that's what kept them in it, was the 3-point shooting and just some of those tough shots they were making really the entire game. But you look at turnovers. I thought they were fine yesterday. 10 turnovers in the first half, but then you're able to limit it to only 3 in the second half. So I thought they did a really nice job after halftime.
I think the basic yes or no question, do you think this is a good team? Yes.
Yeah, no, it's a really good team.
Emphatically, yes.
Yeah, no, it is a really good team, and I think they've unlocked another level with putting Dane Dange in the starting lineup. He was great again last night, 18 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and you look early in that game what he was doing from the jump. I mean, it was get him the ball down low and let him work, and he did that. At the first media timeout, 6 points, 4 rebounds, all 4 of those rebounds offensive rebounds. So he has been so good since he's become a starter.
So already early into 2025, we know they had their regular seasons in 24, but we've crowned college football and NFL champions, and it was not anything new for the 21st century in either one. College football and the NFL have crowned 13 different winners in the 21st century.
Wow.
That's the same as college basketball.
Yeah.
College basketball missed a year because of COVID. That's the same. You look at today's AP Top 25. Auburn would be new. Bama would be new.
Yeah.
Duke and Florida wouldn't be. Tennessee would be new. Houston would be new. Purdue, A&M, St. John's, Iowa State. 8 of the top 10 would be new. 11, Michigan State would not be, so 8 and 3. Texas Tech would be. 9 out of 12. Arizona would not. 9 out of 13. Memphis would. 10 out of 14. College basketball is going to give us our first newbie to 21st century.
I think so.
And I think all those I named had never won any time, much less 21st.
That's a good stat, and you're right. I mean, it is. It's a crazy group. Really. Throughout the top 25, you look at St. John's, what they've been doing. Florida, the way I know they wouldn't be a new one, but the way they won, on the road against Auburn, a lot of unpredictable things.
Florida's win
happening.
may be the best win of the year.
It was incredible. I mean, it by far, I think, win of the season.
And now setting up this week and Saturday, College Game Day will originate from Tuscaloosa for Auburn, Alabama, 1 versus 2 in coaches.
Yeah.
Alabama won in AP. Auburn's won, and it'll be the first time game days had 1 versus 2 since
Memphis and Tennessee.
2008.
How about that? It's going to be fun. Iron Bowl on the hardwood. It's just
It will
different,
be.
Brett. It is different. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Guest picker's got to be Nate Oates, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, gotta be.
No, it's got to be Kalen DeBoer. Don't you bring in a football touch?
I don't know if you bring in
I don't know
Kalen
how he'd
DeBoer.
be received.
Yeah, I don't know if you bring in DeBoer. Do they do guest pickers on basketball games?
I don't know that. I
think
hadn't
they
watched
do.
College Game Day.
I don't
this
think
year.
they do. I think they bring up a coach, so I think Nate Oates will be there and they'll do a segment with them. But I don't know if they do.
Yeah, they do bring in a coach. But I hadn't watched 10 minutes of it.
No, I haven't gotten to see it either. So, but no, I thought good win for the Tigers. You mentioned it; they move up now in the AP poll, in between Arizona and Kentucky. It's good, good group to be around in the AP poll, and so now 2 road games for them this week before they get kind of the off week next
Tiger
week.
basketball season is going fine.
Oh, it's going perfectly fine. I mean, any team that's 20-4 right now, I think you look up and you go, we're doing all right. We're doing.
I had a
we're pretty
person
good right here.
last Tuesday night in Oxford asked me, Ole Miss fan, but also like a lot of us, crossover Tiger. Certainly interested to a fan.
Sure.
He said, I don't think you have been at all critical of Memphis this year. I said, what's there to be critical of?
No, not much. 20-4 on the season. They're winning. That's what you want. And they
kind of reserve criticism for when it's necessary.
Yeah. And right now, not much criticism to be thrown out for the Tiger basketball team. We'll talk more about them in our next segment because when we come back, we're going to talk a whole lot of college basketball. David Cobb from CBS Sports, he joins us next.
From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality
party spirit that mixes with just about everything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its community and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you
I'm so excited.
I had a feeling you'd be excited.
That doesn't even begin to describe how I feel about the new Central Barbecue location on Central.
Well, technically, it's the same location.
Same location, but a very different Central Barbecue on Central.
I get what you're saying, but I don't want to confuse people. The new Central Barbecue location on Central is the same place as the old Central Barbecue on Central.
But it's so much more. It's big, for one thing.
It is a whole lot bigger. Well, I mean, I think it has to be.
Because everybody in Memphis is going to be flocking to the new Central Barbecue location on Central.
Where the old Central Barbecue on Central used to be.
Details.
This Rebel Young is back. Rebel Young online radio show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Nancy Porter with 24/7 Sports. Your Ole Miss defensive captain Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC sports ball, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Garvey from kickoff to first throw to extra innings. Your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Young online show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your South Sports Station.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgess. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous? Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in the 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from the Mediterranean diet to steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it. A beloved family affair is still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1. Joining Brian and Brett now on Sports Time is National College Football writer for CBS Sports, Memphis native and Tennessee grad, who you can find on Twitter X at David W. Cobb. It's David Cobb.
David Cobb joins us now from CBS Sports, where he covers college football and college basketball. David, thanks so much for joining us. Let's start with the Memphis Tigers. They get another win yesterday against Temple, getting revenge for their only conference loss. You look at that game yesterday, cleaned up a lot of the issues that they had in the first meeting against Temple. And now you look up, if you're the Tigers, number 14 in the AP poll, 20-4 on the season. Only 7 teams in college basketball have less losses than you right now. Things are going well for Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, you could say that. I think that's safe to say, Bryant. It's impressive what they're doing. 2 turnovers, I think, in the second half yesterday. That's incredibly encouraging. I love the emergence of P.J. Carter, the fact that he's making big shots and big moments and has really emerged as somebody who you can rely on, like you needed to fill out that rotation a little bit with quality contributions from guys coming off the bench. And in a game where Tyrese Hunter is unavailable, to get some big shots from him down the stretch, I like what I saw out of him. I like what I've seen from him for the last couple of weeks now. So I think that's what's most encouraging is the variety of players who are contributing. Of course, P.J. Haggerty is the guy and will continue to be the guy, but I love what P.J. Carter is giving them as a three-point shooter and as an energy player. I love what Dane Danger is bringing because you remember all along I said he is more than just a run-of-the-mill set screens and take up space kind of big. If you utilize Dane Danger properly, he can really help you offensively. And we are starting to see that. So, you got to feel really, really encouraged about where Memphis basketball is right now.
David, I think one more loss somewhere on the road is very acceptable. You can kind of factor that in. I don't think it would be seeding very damaging to the seed. But I don't think it can be this week. I don't think it can be at South Florida or at Wichita State.
No, probably not. I'm with you, Brett. I mean, it's a long season. It's a grind. Now you got Tyrese Hunter banged up. The idea that Memphis is going to, that anything would be catastrophic or off the rails if they were to drop one more, I just don't buy that. Now, I mean, you want to take care of business down the stretch. You want to win. What do you got? 6, 7 games left. I don't want to see any more than one loss to feel great going into the postseason based off who's left on that schedule. But if you slip up here or there somewhere along the way, so be it, right? Like, it's going to happen. But I think at this point, the fears of there being some sort of midseason collapse like there was last season, I think we can pretty well put those to rest at this point. That is, this is clearly a very different team. And so, it's impressive what they've done. And if they keep it on the rails here down the stretch, a number 4 seed, number 5 seed, absolutely within the realm of possibility for Memphis.
7 games remain, only 3 at home. That's how fast it goes. David, to that college basketball fan that hadn't been that plugged in, waiting for football to get over with, how would you, if just on the street, if they came up to you and said, hey, catch me up on college basketball, where do we stand? What kind of year is it? How would you answer that?
I'd say, Duke is good again. They did finally take a loss, their first loss since November over the weekend.
At a place that Memphis won.
Hey, good point. It's crazy how good that Memphis resume just keeps looking. I mean, every time you look up, somebody who they beat is beating somebody really good. It's night and day compared to how that went last year for the Tigers. But you look across the landscape. All right, I'll give you a couple things. One, freshmen are back. Freshmen are a factor in college basketball again, beyond Cooper Flagg at Duke. There are quality freshmen making big-time contributions across the landscape. I did a piece last week that is interesting because what we could see is the highest number of freshmen drafted that we've ever seen. Even at the height of the one-and-done era, the most we ever got was 20. We could see 23, 24, maybe even 25 freshmen drafted. So you're going to see some stud freshmen this year. You're also seeing a changing of the guard right now in college basketball from a coaching standpoint. But the one big exception to that is 72-year-old Rick Pitino, who has got it going at St. John's in a way that they haven't had it going in a long, long time. So at a time when you're seeing Roy Williams and Mike Krzyzewski and Jim Boeheim and Leonard Hamilton and Jim Larinaga and so many more cycle out of the sport, boy, Rick Pitino is doing it as good as he's ever done it right now at St. John's, and that's going to be a huge, huge story here down the stretch.
Yeah, he certainly has. That game, what was it, Friday night? Yeah, against UConn. That was a tremendous game. Your colleague, Jerry Palm, he updated his bracketology today. He has Memphis on the 4 line, a matchup against Samford. They were kind of the darling of the tournament last year when they entered. A lot of people excited. I know you did a story about Samford last year. What would that matchup look like in a first-round game, Memphis versus Samford?
I don't like it. If I'm Memphis, Samford almost took down Kansas in the first round last season. Probably should have, if not for a phantom foul call that flipped the game in Kansas' favor in the final seconds. Samford honestly got robbed of a first-round win over the Jayhawks. So, that's not a team I'd want to play. It'd also be a little subplot there. One of Samford's better players is Josh Holloway from Memphis, who Grizzlies fans who followed some of John Morant's off-court troubles might remember that name. So there's a little subplot for you. That'd be fun. I'd love that game, man. It would be an absolute blast because Bucky McMillan at Samford is a name that could very well come up again on what's going to be a pretty busy college basketball coaching carousel. I mean, we already got Miami, Florida State, Indiana open. Those are the 3 that come to mind from the power conference structure, and there's going to be more coming. So familiarize yourself with him because he plays a modern up-tempo style. And that game would also be really fun if it happens because Bucky and Penny are two of the only, I think it's them two and Doug Gottlieb are the only three Division I men's head basketball coaches who got their jobs without having any prior Division I coaching experience of any sort. I'd have to triple check that to be sure, but yeah, the Penny versus Bucky would be a fascinating coaching matchup.
Yeah, no, that would be a lot of fun. Going back to some of the action from Saturday, you mentioned Clemson beating Duke. We also had Florida with a road win against Auburn. What did you see from Florida in that game to be able to go on the road? There were a handful of games where Walter Clayton Jr. Was out with an injury. He was awesome. Elijah Martin did not play, though, in this game for Florida. They were still able to go out and get a 9-point win on the road against Auburn. What did you make of that win in this Florida team?
Yeah, it's like Auburn finally met their match on the offensive glass because they have that 1-2 punch with Janai Broome and Dylan Cardwell, and there's so few teams out there in college basketball who can match that, but Florida is one of them because they bring in one of the toughest, grittiest front lines in the sport. Not to mention they got an elite backcourt too, and yes, they were shorthanded without Elijah Martin in that game, but honestly, what stunned me the most about Florida going into Auburn and beating the number one team in the country was the fact that they got really good contributions from a Lithuanian freshman off the bench. I mean, Urban Klavzar, forgive me if I mispronounce his name because he's hardly played at all in the SEC grind this year, but they're bringing a guy off the bench, their 9th or 10th player, who's coming in and hitting big-time shots in one of the most hostile environments in college basketball against the number one ranked team. That blew my mind that Florida had that sort of piece available to them deep into their bench. So it's the depth of the roster that Todd Golden has assembled. And then it was just a situation where Auburn's shots weren't going down. And Janai Broome finally kind of met his match with some of those towers down there for the Gators. But I will say, I thought the AP voters got it right by leaving Auburn at number one. Their body of work is so strong that even after a home loss within the league, they still, based on resume, deserve to be the number one team.
Mm-hmm. And they'll battle it out Saturday, 1 versus 2, down at Coleman Coliseum. For the college basketball selection show, we're 5 Sundays from Selection Sunday. So, David, let's go rapid fire. You just tell me, I'm going to throw a team at you, and you tell me, can they win it all? Auburn.
Yes.
Bama.
Yes.
Duke.
Yes.
Florida.
Yes.
Tennessee.
Oh, gosh, Brett, you got me here. That's tough, man. Tennessee's a tough one for me because they're clearly so good defensively, as per usual. Where my concern is with Tennessee and why I don't think Tennessee can win the national championship is because they don't have that elite bucket-getting, dynamic offensive wing. As much as everybody wants Chaz Lanier to be that, his strength is catch and shoot. And, boy, he's great at catch and shoot. He's starting to find his rhythm a little bit in SEC play, but he's not Dalton Knecht. And I think last year's Tennessee team could have won the national championship. They went toe-to-toe with Purdue. If they get past Purdue, they go to the Final Four. They could have hung with UConn. I think last year's team was better equipped than this year's team at Tennessee to maybe win it all. I don't think I can see Tennessee winning it all.
Kelvin Sampson in Houston.
Yes.
Purdue.
No.
A&M.
No.
Does that kind of run out? Anybody else out there, does that run it out?
Boy, I might say Arizona because they're playing really well right now.
Memphis.
Really well. They've turned it on. But, yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Memphis Tigers.
I don't think so. I mean, they're exceeding expectations. They're very much capable of making a second weekend Elite Eight
very much
sort of run. I don't see them being a Final Four team though. I mean, do you guys disagree with me on that?
No, agree completely. And my bar was just get to the tournament. I'm not changing that, but I do think they can make a lot of noise. And if they do, I'm going to enjoy it. If they don't, I'm not going to rip them.
I mean, the truth is almost anybody can make the Final Four. FAU can make the Final Four. George Mason has made Final Four. So you never think
Miss.
Yes. It said they can make the Final Four. They have enough talent, and they have the right coach to do it. So
that's
no,
it. The latter part is it. David, I hope people don't hear just what they want to hear, and they get it to Chris that I said something ugly. I don't think it's a very good team. I think he is maxing out, and it is a showcase. It is a Chris Beard doing masterful things team. I don't think they're that good.
They stole one in Baton Rouge. They had no business winning that game. I don't know how they did it. They were down 10, 11 points with roughly 2 minutes to go on the road. And, God, it made me just sick for Matt McMahon, who's having a brutal year at LSU because they just literally gave that game away to Ole Miss late Saturday
For
night.
all the pain LSU has inflicted on Ole Miss across the street at Tiger Stadium, LSU deserved it Saturday.
Yeah, and Ole Miss, gosh, that was just the grittiest type of win and a reflection on who their coach is. And I think, yeah, the difference between can you make the Final Four and can you win the national championship is larger than people believe. Because it's like, well, if you make it to the Final Four, why couldn't you win the national championship? I don't know. I can't explain it to you. But you see a lot of teams that they get the strokes of luck they need with the bracket draw or the shots that are falling on a given night to where they can win 4 straight in the NCAA tournament. But then, boy, winning number 5 and 6 in a row against the elite teams in the nation, it's just a hard bar to clear. So, yeah, I mean, I could see Tennessee, Ole Miss, even Memphis in certain circumstances making the Final Four, winning the national title is a bridge too far.
Yeah.
If Ole Miss won 2 games, that's just a great year. Sweet 16.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt, given where that program has been. Yeah, and then you're going to get, buckle up, like even before we get to that point, a.k.a. today, yesterday, ever since Indiana made the announcement on Mike Woodson.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to hear Chris Beard's name bandied about for that opening and for others.
Just like last year, and that's going to be, I think, annually. But I think like last year, a lot of these coaching moves, it's not going to be Power 4 doing a lot of moving. I think you got to go get a Pat Kelsey. You got to go get, a coach from somewhere else on the way up, not at another Power conference.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Brett, because if Kentucky had to settle for Mark Pope, who's doing a fine job, he's never won an NCAA tournament game when they hired him. And then Louisville, I mean, their fans were irate. We're hiring a coach from the CAA? Who is Pat Kelsey? We've never heard of him. Well, they're pretty doggone happy with the hire now. And so I look at Indiana and where they're at as a program, and I'm just rolling my eyes. I mean, and look, I wrote the story in conjunction with Matt Norlander, and we, of course, under the Grand Slam category, we had to list Billy Donovan, Scott Drew, and it's like, no, these guys, Brad Stevens, there's no way, right? If they didn't go to Kentucky, why are they going to go to Indiana? So I'm kind of with you. I wouldn't be at all surprised if
Beard didn't leave for Arkansas, why would he leave for Indiana?
Agreed. And it's across the board in college basketball right now. It's hard to make that rock star, big-time, splashy hire. And so, I know Indiana fans wanted to change, but you also have to resign yourself to the fact that the next guy you bring in might not be the star-studded name that you were anticipating.
Mm-hmm. Who are some realistic names for Indiana?
Well, I look at Buzz Williams for this reason from Texas A&M. He's about to lose 8 of his top 10, and he's never stayed anywhere longer than 7 years as a head coach.
And that AD didn't hire him.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a situation there where he's going to have to rebuild either way. He's at a point in his career where perhaps Indiana, he could view that as a place where he could win a national title more so than A&M. I don't know for a fact that he'd be interested because he's a Texas guy in terms of his roots. But he's never been anywhere. He's never stayed anywhere longer than 7 years. He's gonna have to totally rebuild next year at A&M. Sure, I can see a coach of that caliber getting the job. And if I'm an Indiana fan, I think you should be thrilled with that level of hire. I mean, Buzz Williams has consistently for the last 15 years operated programs at a really, really high level.
Mm-hmm. You look at what Kansas has done recently, where 2-3 in their last 5 games. And look, we talk so much about the SEC. Big 12 is a really good conference as well, but the way that they've lost their last 2 games against Baylor on the road, they're up big in the second half. They lose it all. They let Baylor win by 11 points. Kansas State, down most of the day. They end up losing on the road to Kansas State in what's a pretty big rivalry there. Where is this Kansas team right now? And then a guy, I know you wrote a story about kind of the biggest pickups and most disappointing pickups from the transfer portal. AJ Storr, I know you had him on your list somewhere in disappointments, but he was a guy, a lot of people excited for that pickup with Kansas after averaging 17 points last year at Wisconsin. He's just really not been able to do anything for Kansas this year.
Yeah, it's funny. Since I came out with my list of biggest busts, some of those guys have immediately turned it around.
They read it.
It's almost like it was bulletin board material for them. Coleman Hawkins has started turning a corner at Kansas
John
State.
L. Davis.
And John L. Davis at Arkansas. Yep, he was number 1 bust that I had, and he's helped Arkansas turn it around. So A.J. Storr, if he's next, then Kansas has a shot. Like, if he blossoms into the player who Bill Self thought he was getting when he lured him from Wisconsin and got him in the portal, then Kansas can turn this around and still have a shot. I flashed back a little bit to the 2022 season when Kansas did win it all. Now, this team this year is worse than that team was, but that team went through a down stretch too, and Bill Self, the coach that he is, found a way to bring him out of it. And eventually he unlocked the best from that year's stud transfer, which was Remy Martin, that undersized scoring guard who came in from Arizona State. And in the NCAA tournament, Remy Martin, especially late, gave him a lot of really good contributions. So is it a situation where Kansas is just sort of playing with its food, stumbling around, not all the way locked in, and then come tournament time, Bill Self gets them up to speed and they make some noise? Yeah, I can see that for sure, because they got the talent without a doubt. It's just, for whatever reason, the A.J. Storr experience is not playing out maybe like they'd hoped.
David, last week everybody's so Super Bowl centric and getting ready for that big game. Do you think a lot of us missed or didn't talk enough about the Ross Dellinger reporting and the story he wrote about kind of the power conferences really starting to consolidate, and we might finally get down to the big 64 in college football?
Yeah, I mean, no doubt, because I don't even think I've read it, and I typically read everything that Ross writes, because he's kind of the dean of the game right now in terms of being on top of the trends and the court rulings and everything that's impacting college sports at a macro level. Yeah, it's happening. It's kind of happening right in front of our eyes, slowly but surely. And the implementation of the House settlement, I think, is kind of going to accentuate that a little bit, because you're going to see the SEC and the Big Ten not only pony up the money from the House settlement that's going to be required as part of the revenue sharing stuff, but they're going to go above and beyond, because they're still going to have collectives that are operating at a really high level. It's just, it's happening. I don't think there's any doubt. It's just, what does that look like in 5 years? What does that look like in 10 years? It could absolutely look like a situation where what we know as the Power Four have really, really started to drift away. I think it's already happened in football. I mean, when I go and do a story, for better or worse, I kind of have the Power Four separated from the G5 in my mind, because they don't play in the same world. And Memphis is one of the very few who can realistically compete on the field with a run-of-the-mill Power 5 program. And it's why Memphis is doing and should continue to do everything it can to be part of that next breakaway, part of the upper echelon. But by and large, outside of Memphis and Boise State and Tulane, I look at the G5 programs, especially on the football side, in a totally, totally different light.
Maybe UNLV thrown in there, but you mostly have it right. I think you have it right on. David, I saw a conference breakdown, and it was basically Big Ten, North and South, and SEC North and South, with 32 teams in one and 32 teams in the other, and that's college football. I don't want that.
No, I don't either. We got to have that geographic diversity. I'd love to get back to regionalized rivalries. I'd love to just strip the whole thing down to the studs and build it back with some real like regional intentionality in it. But hey, look, if we're gonna do a football breakaway, leave basketball and baseball out of it. Make your football conferences. Do that by all means. I don't understand why there can't be conferences that are structured one way for football and another way for the other sports. Because football, yeah, you can travel across the country a couple times a year, no problem. Does it make sense, though, for Rutgers basketball to be going to play USC and UCLA in the middle of conference play? No, that doesn't make any sense. Why are we doing that? But from a football standpoint, sure. Assemble the masses. Just make sure that, like, again, we got some of that geographic diversity in there, because if you want people across the country in small towns to embrace and love and continue to watch college football, they need to feel like they're represented. And if Nebraska and Colorado and Kansas State and all these Big 12 programs aren't a part of the party, then I don't know. I feel like you start to lose some of the soul of college football.
Yeah. A last thing for you, David, real quick. Who wins the Iron Bowl on the hardwood Saturday, Auburn or Alabama?
Oh, man, that's going to be a blast. I can't wait. It's going to be intense. Give me Auburn. They've just been so good all season long, and it's like the Florida game, I chalk it up to a fluke. Like, it's basketball, it happens. But, give me the Tigers over the Tide in what will be an absolutely electric, like, unforgettable college basketball environment.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And two tough midweek games for both those teams, though, as well. Auburn on the road
and everybody
against
plays midweek this week.
Yeah, and really tough for these two. Auburn on the road against Vanderbilt, Alabama on the road against Texas. So it's not going to be easy getting to Saturday for either of these teams, but that's going to be a lot of fun Saturday night. David, as always, thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again next week.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, David. Have a great week.
David Cobb joining us every single week to talk college basketball from CBS Sports, where he covers college football and college basketball.
I would bet anything somewhere in Reese Davis's open Saturday for College Game Day, and he knows the Iron Bowl football rivalry about as well as any national voice out there with his upbringing in Alabama and going to college at Alabama. I will guarantee you that picture of the Bear leaning against the goalpost pregame and a picture of Suge Jordan in his pork pie hat. You get a picture of Pat Dye. You get a picture of Nick Saban, and you see Kick Six in the open.
That'd be great. I hope so. That'd be fun. Bring it all together for the Iron Bowl and the hardwood.
And Auburn kind of got their in-house disagreement sorted out in non-conference with the turning the plane around.
Yeah,
Bama's got some stuff going on with Mark Sears.
Yeah, now Mark Sears has not been very good at all this year, and they got to figure that out. But for Auburn, maybe that little raucous on the flight, maybe it's what they need. Brought them closer together. I don't know. Maybe you need a good fight on a plane every once in a while.
If you're going to fight, November's the time to do it.
I guess so. that's for sure. You don't want to do that in March on the way to your first
I don't
game
want to do
of
it
the
at
tournament.
the
No, not at all. But that's going to be a really fun game. We're going to talk a lot about that throughout the week. But let's go ahead and get to another break. When we come back, talking brackets with Shelby Mast.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Vargas. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous?
Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in the 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or in our house has been a Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet to steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it.
A beloved family of Prairie, still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family
3.
Attention homeowners, it's time to score big with Choate's air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and generators. For the first 50 callers who purchase a new carrier system, generator, or tankless water heater, choose between 60 months of no-interest financing or free air duct cleaning, a $500 value. Plus, don't miss our $39 February deals. Choose from a furnace tune-up, a sewer inspection, or an electrical panel inspection. It's the perfect way to prepare your home for the season. But hurry, this winning deal ends February 28th. Don't fumble this opportunity to claim these amazing offers. Call Choates today at 347-8086. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
You know, sometimes I wish I had a gun.
Well, I'm armed, but before I bought one, I still went to Top Gun Academy to learn to protect myself without a gun.
How is that possible?
Top Gun's personal protection training. It's perfect if you want to protect yourself without firearms.
I don't know.
And it's perfect if you feel the need to carry a gun for self-defense, because the last thing you really want to do is shoot.
That is scary.
Not at Top Gun. It's very comfortable, and you learn to load, handle, and shoot a handgun safely. Protect yourself. Go to Top Gun Academy. They're at 2770 Witten Road.
Briggs Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Briggs Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With two conveyor lines and the largest bench ovens in the Mid-South, Briggs can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Briggs Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Briggs Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or BriggsPowderCoating.com.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now to talk some bracketology, Shelby Mast from BracketWag.com joins us now. Make sure to go to BracketWag.com to see Shelby's updated bracket. Shelby, you updated your bracket last night after all the games were played. Right now, you have the Memphis Tigers as a 7 seed. You see the Tigers, it feels like a lot of people have Memphis in different places. Why do you have them on the 7 line?
They're kind of a hard team to figure out. They're good, no doubt about that. They play some tough early season games, but now they're in conference play, and there's nobody left in the conference with any meat on them. So they're going to get the wins, but it doesn't really help them. Just not losing is helping them. The other teams have bolstered their resume enough and moved up.
Can they rely on, Shelby, can they move up 2 spots just by taking care of business in the AAC and hoping those in the power conferences lose and fall? Can they? Is there anywhere to go for Memphis in your bracket?
Yeah, I think what's hurting them right now is the other teams are doing well. If some of those teams start doing not so well, then I think they will move up.
I hope your ears have been burning over the last few weeks, because Bryant and I have been talking about you and saying that you're going to join us, as you always do, on the Monday after the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was yesterday. Today's that Monday, and you're with us. And maybe for the first time since we've had you on going way, way, way back, we have to have this ugly conversation about where you have Memphis. Respectfully, in your bracket, I would swap Memphis with Ole Miss. I would put Memphis as a 5 and Ole Miss as a 7, because their schedules are kind of the opposite. Ole Miss didn't play a lot, a little, but not a lot, including playing and losing decisively to Memphis. But once you got to conference, Ole Miss's conference has really picked up while Memphis has receded. Right,
that's it. Ole Miss played a terrible non-conference, and they had a few games that were good, but overall it was horrible. But
and barely got by in a couple of them.
Right. It was once they get into conference, they have proved that they can win tough games on the road. And I think the committee would give them favor for that.
Shelby, never mind whether they do it or not. I'm going to use the word deserving, and I don't really like that word. Does the SEC deserve 12, 13, the unthinkable? 13 is unthinkable. Maybe even 14. Do they deserve it?
At this point, I'd say yes. I mean, we've never seen this before, and it's a really good, deep conference. I keep wanting to take somebody out, but they keep winning. And I know they're beating up on each other now, but my gosh, I don't know. I think Texas will probably fall out, maybe Vandy, maybe Georgia, but then again, they win a few good games, and that'll be enough.
Texas looks a little wobbly. I saw them in person, and I think they have two good players and then a lot of parts that I don't think really fit, and I don't think they're very well coached.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I am a Texas fan, but I'm thinking this year's team might be in over their head.
Yeah. I think one of the bigger surprises this season in the SEC has been what Vanderbilt's doing. They go out, get Mark Byington in at head coach, and right now you have them on the 10 line in your bracket. You mentioned them. They are a team that might fall out if the rest of the season doesn't go the way they want it to go. But talk about Vanderbilt and the job Mark Byington has done to put them. I mean, I can't remember the last time we're talking bracketology and we have Vanderbilt in play, but now we do.
Yeah, I think they're one of the more surprising teams. I'm kind of rooting for them to get there because they're not as highly thought of.
Yeah,
it'd be kind of neat to have them back in the tournament, but it's going to be tough because once they get in the SEC tournament, my gosh, that's going to be a painful trip for them.
Shelby, if you hadn't already made Tiger fans mad enough with your 7 seed, you're really going to make the rest of our listening audience mad at you. Go ahead and state your case for Duke. You're Dukies. I know you love Duke, and you have them as a 1 seed even after that loss Saturday at Clemson.
Yeah, them and Auburn they're way up above everybody else. Alabama's close, but they've done enough this season throughout the year that it'd be real tough for them to fall off the line. Tougher for Auburn, I think. But another loss for Duke may keep them on the 1 line, or maybe not. It'd have to be at Carolina. They've just done so many good things. They built up kind of like a buffer.
Do you think college basketball may be getting too analytical, too many matrix, too much analysis, not enough feel?
Yeah, I do. The eye test isn't used anymore. I don't know if the committee members watch any games, but they don't do like they used to, where they hole up in a room and watch every game.
Well, that hurts Memphis. If they don't remember what Memphis did in November and December, and they're just going by latest is the greatest and a couple of 3-ring binders, that will hurt Memphis.
Yeah, it will, because their metrics don't measure up to other teams. What you see on the court, that's a good product, but according to metrics, they're okay.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Carolina a second ago. You have them in your last 4 in a team. They've been struggling in recent weeks to compete, but obviously the ACC, plenty of opportunities. How do you see this North Carolina team right now?
They're clearly on the boat. I mean, it's weird to say, North Carolina, but last few years has been about this. Their average team playing not good conference resume, and they're not beating teams they should beat if they're really that good. I kind of don't think they're going to make it in the end.
Are they on this bubble that everybody agrees that they're on? Are they on it because they're North Carolina, or back to the D word, deserving?
I think probably I try not to put, when I'm reviewing these teams, I try not to let the name on the jersey influence me, and I think I've done okay over the years. North Carolina, they have played a tough schedule, no doubt about it, but they have not got the win. So I think it could be because of the name of the jersey, and it could be a little bit of both, probably.
at your site right now. I have it up in front of me, bracketwag.com. Shelby Mast, our guest on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. He's been with us for years now, and you have it color coded. Tell our listeners what those colors represent on how you have the teams listed.
Yeah, if they're any team in red is from a multi-bid conference, and they still have got work to do. Probably the 3 line, they don't have as much work to do. I'm not ready to lock them in yet, but as you go on down the bracket, you got teams with a lot of work to be done, considering who they played and what conference they're affiliated with.
You have Memphis in black. That means basically right now from 1-bid leagues, right?
Yes.
And that's where you have Memphis. And the annual announcement of your site is Bracket WAG, W-A-G. What does the WAG stand for, Shelby?
Wild ass guess.
And you guessed well. Last year, what was your hit rate?
I got all but one right, and I think there were 3 that I missed by 2 seed lines.
Wow. That is really, really good.
Yeah, I did pretty good.
Yeah. Shelby, you have St. John's on the 5 line. They've been a really fun team to watch. What Rick Pitino is doing up there, we know he likes to lead. Defense first. Is this defense good enough for St. John's to make a Final Four push?
I think it may be a Final Four, but that's about it. Mm-hmm. Somebody asked the other day if we were having St. John's versus Houston with the first team to 59 win. I said I think it'd be closer to 50.
Yeah.
They're both really good defense. I'd like to move St. John's up, but the eye test isn't used anymore, and their resume, they've got 2 good wins.
Yeah.
So it's tough to put them above Wisconsin or Arizona, Kentucky. They just don't have the marquee wins that those teams have.
Who's another kind of defensive oriented team that come tournament time, I don't know that can advance you in the bracket. You've got to score 65. Who's kind of the third defensive team behind St. John's and Houston?
Texas Tech is one I think that has a pretty solid defense. They can score a little bit more, but I think their defense is really good. I don't know if it's enough to get them over the hump, but they could.
Mm-hmm. Your first 4 out right now, BYU, SMU, Pitt, and USC. Those 4 teams, who do you think has the best chance to make the field?
I think probably maybe SMU, but USC's really come on. They haven't won them all, but that's a team I'm keeping an eye on because that's where Eric Musselman went.
Yep.
And they have beat some of the top teams, and so they get a few more of those wins on the resume, and they're going to be looking pretty good.
Shelby, would you believe that in the preseason, okay, it may have been a little much, they're not going that far, but I had BYU in the Final Four in the preseason?
That doesn't surprise me.
I was a year too soon. It's going to be next year.
Oh, next year, yeah. They're going all in for basketball, I think. I saw an article the other day where they've got a high school recruit coming in. Their NIL budget is real high, so they're banking on it.
Oh, they're all in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch them a year from now. Going back to the SEC conversation, Oklahoma, you have them on the 9 line. That feels like another team that maybe if the season doesn't go the way they hope it was, it feels like they're kind of on that edge of making it being left out. What do you think of this Oklahoma team?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to dislike them, but their resume says something else. They beat some good teams in neutral sites, and that's helped it a lot. And those wins are not going away. So, unless they just completely fall apart, I think they're going to be there at the end.
You break your site at bracketwag.com with others considered for at-large bid, on life support, but probably dead. Not many on that list. No longer considered for at-large bid. What does Indiana have to do or not do to completely be disregarded?
Well, I kind of thought that with Woodson saying he was stepping down, they'd kind of just quit, but they played a pretty decent game the other day. I think if they lose 2 or 3 more, that might be the end of them. But if they get a couple of wins, they're really close, and they could could maybe save his job. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. We saw Arkansas with two massive wins a week ago. They did fall to Alabama, but another team, I mean, if we had talked about this 2-3 weeks ago, I don't think we'd be talking about Arkansas at all. Now you have them in your next four out. Kind of same question. What does Arkansas need to do to kind of get back into being a factor?
Yeah, they had a really fantastic week, beat Kentucky at Kentucky and Texas at Texas. They get a few more wins like that, their conference taking a loss to the SEC is not as bad as it used to be. This is a tough conference, and any loss they take, maybe not to South Carolina. I don't know if they play them or not, but get wins, get a couple more good wins, and you're going to be in the discussion.
Mm-hmm. When you look at this Gonzaga team right now, you have them on the 8 line. Really good start for them. I mean, I remember opening night against Baylor. I mean, just blew Baylor out of the water, had some pretty good non-conference wins. But they've started to struggle in recent weeks. What do you see in this Gonzaga team?
Yeah, I've got to remember what the committee did to them last year. They were a bubble team all the way.
Yeah.
Where in the last week, I thought they got in, and the committee ended up giving up a 5 seed. So I got to think that they've got a soft spot in the committee members' hearts. So I think they'll be okay regardless. But I think that they can win a few rounds. But this isn't the Gonzaga that we've become used to.
Right.
No,
it's definitely a different Gonzaga team. Shelby, as always, thanks so much for joining us. A lot of fun catching up. And a week from now, we'll see how much things have changed from where the bracket is today to where the bracket is next week. Shelby, as always, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Shelby.
you, Shelby. Have a great week. Shelby Mass with us from BracketWag.com. And Bryant, right now, if the SEC tournament started today,
oh, geez,
Vandy and Kentucky would play on that Wednesday.
Wow. That's insane.
I mean, there's going to be maybe a Sweet 16 team playing on the Wednesday of the SEC tournament.
Yeah, that's crazy. And we didn't even mention this with Shelby. We talked about Memphis being a 7. We talked about Vanderbilt being a 10. He has first-round matchup, Vanderbilt-Memphis, to start the tournament in Milwaukee. So that would be some type of a matchup.
Oh, I think Memphis would love that.
Yeah, that would be it'd be fun. It'd be a fun game to watch. I mean, the I don't even know if you call them in-state rivals, but certainly right down the road, that'd be fun.
And you're coming off of 2 years of playing each other.
That's right. Yeah,
2 previous seasons this year.
Didn't have them on the schedule this year, so that'd be see them 3 years in a row. That'd be a lot of fun.
I'm back to I know not 13 and maybe not even 12. I think Georgia and Texas, maybe Oklahoma, will all work their way out of everybody's bracket in the SEC.
Yeah, it definitely feels like there's a few teams that could
because everybody can't win.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think Georgia feels like the likeliest team to fall out. I think Texas is right there after them. So yeah, I feel like there's going to be a couple teams that end up not making it in
this week for Georgia at A&M and home against Mizzou. That could be 0-2.
Yeah, that's brutal. I mean, that's just a brutal. I'm sure the rest of the season is pretty much just like that. I mean, that's how the SEC is this year. So it's going to be tough. I think we see probably 2 SEC teams that are in right now probably find their way outside of the bracket on Selection Sunday. But love having Shelby on. Make sure you go and look at his bracketology where he has everybody, bracketwag.com. Let's get to another break, and when we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Elwood Shack in the Lowe's parking lot on Summer just keeps getting bigger and better. Bigger because now there's a second Elwood Shack at 4040 Park across from the University of Memphis. And better because you can get breakfast every day at both Elwood. There's the barbecue breakfast burrito, even beef brisket or pork shoulder, and pancake biscuits made fresh daily. Real house-made pancakes, apple and bacon, French toast, and more. And the new Elwood's even has a real coffee bar serving fresh roasted J. Brooks coffee. Elwood Shack, now in 2 locations and open every day for you.
Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, my big number of the day is the number 1. It is the jersey number of Jalen Hurts. It is also the first because Jalen Hurts of the Eagles is the only and first quarterback in NFL history to have all of these, or to do all of these in a single game, regular season or postseason. Throw for 200 or more yards, run for 70 or more yards, throw multiple touchdown passes, run for a touchdown, complete 75 or more % of his passes, and average 10 or more yards per pass attempt, and win the game. He did that last night in Super Bowl 59. First player to ever do that in an NFL game, regular or postseason.
Uncanny. I don't know that we've ever been so close to having the exact same thing, but it's not exact.
Okay.
My big number is the number 2. As in numbers 1 through 19 for Super Bowl winning starting quarterbacks. We now are down to only 2 numbers that can't be checked off, because we check off number 1 for the first time ever with Jalen Hurts. It leaves for starting quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl the numbers 2 and 6. Everything else 1 to 19 taken care of. Jalen Hurts got there with the number 1. Russell Wilson with 3, a couple, namely Brett Favre with 4, Joe Flacco at 5. No number 6, Roethlisberger at 7, Steve Young, Trent Dilfer at 8, might be some others, but Stafford at 9, Eli at 10, Mark Rypien at 11, Tom Brady and others at 12, many others. At 13, we had Kurt Warner, 14, Brad Johnson, 15, Mahomes, Bart Starr, others, 16, Montana, 17, the historic win for Doug Williams, 18, Eli, 19, Johnny U.
Wow.
I don't even know if we have a starter in the league wearing number 2.
No.
Or number 6.
Yeah, I can't think of any.
I don't know of any, but 2 and 6, the only 2 that remain.
Wow, that's incredible. That's a really
we
good
were
big
close
number.
to the same thought
we
line, weren't we?
No, we were very close. Speaking of 2, how about one of Alan Bell's prop bets for the Super Bowl, over 2.5 passers, is I think how we simplified it.
And our man Kenny Pickett got us there.
Kenny Pickett getting in there late, having 1 pass attempt. So that's a win for Alan Bell.
And I don't know Allen was counting on Kenny Pickett. I think he was counting on a running back or a wide receiver.
Yeah, I think
maybe in a gadget play.
Yeah, I think he was looking for something. Something. Get it to a running back, get it to a receiver, have him throw it downfield. But hey, get it with Kenny Pickett.
We'll go over all of our handicappers at 5:30 on how they did. One bet that I love from Doug Kazarian was after 0-0, we would have another tie.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get close.
No, and yeah, that was one that I liked a lot. And yeah, no, after 0-0, there was never even I guess after they got it to 10-0, there was never a thought that we were going to get that back to tied.
Bruce went 2-3 on his various picks. Allen went 7-4.
Wow. And
Doug went 5-3. We'll have all the season totals at 5:30.
Yeah, another one of Allen's picks was punt to be a touchback. That was like the 3rd punt of the game in the first quarter. Rolls into the end zone, feeling good, a little win there. So yeah, Super Bowl betting always a lot of fun.
And I asked him about it. Would Brady, a Tom Brady prop, and he said critical or not, 2.5 of the officials. He blew through that.
Oh yeah, no, he did, and it got at him early. With the pass
Brady knocked that out early.
He sure did
on the A.J. Brown interference.
That's
that
right,
was one,
yeah.
And there was another one right after that. Brady was kind of on the refs and dragging. Who's the Fox ref booth guy?
I don't
know. The guy in the booth, the former ref. That's real good. I can't think of his name, but it kind of was dragging him along to criticize him.
Yeah, no, I mean it was, I didn't see that coming. I thought Tom Brady would be with the refs, and certainly if it had gone kind of the Kansas City conspiracy theory refs are on their side, I was like, oh, Tom Brady's not going to get anywhere close to that. But certainly that wasn't a factor, and yeah, no, he was letting the refs have it.
I saw a good thing on Twitter that the blowout for Philadelphia was the football version of too big to rig. So it wasn't even close for any close calls.
No, it wasn't. Are you talking about Mike Pereira?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike Pereira.
The more I was thinking about it, I was like, is he talking about Mike Pereira? Okay, yeah.
Brady was kind of wanting him to jump in and criticize. And
he was. I forgot about that until you.
They don't really want to do that.
No,
that's all,
certainly not.
That's their friends.
They're buddies. Yeah. Once was in that uniform.
But I think Pereira will more than any others.
Yeah, Pereira's pretty good,
and he's removed more. He may not know all of them as well.
That's a good point.
As some of the older officials.
That's a really good point. But yeah, no. If you had the over on
but
Tom
Brady,
referees,
we didn't really know they were there yesterday.
Nah.
It wasn't a referee game.
No, they didn't play a factor at all. I mean, it was all Eagles. They took the air out of the ball early and ran away with it. But let's go ahead and wrap up this hour and get to another break. And when we come back, we got to talk about the Grizzlies. They hosted the OKC Thunder over the weekend, took a loss. But when we return, we're going to talk about everything that happened. All-Star Week coming up. Handful of Grizzlies participating in that. We had the trade deadline last week where the Grizzlies made a move. We'll talk all things Grizzlies next with DeMichael Cole.
sometimes I wish I had a gun.
Well, I'm armed, but before I bought one, I still went to Top Gun Academy to learn to protect myself without a gun.
How is that possible?
Top Gun's personal protection training. It's perfect if you want to protect yourself without firearms.
I don't know.
And it's perfect if you feel the need to carry a gun for self-defense, because the last thing you really want to do is shoot.
That is scary.
Not at Top Gun. It's very comfortable, and you learn to load, handle, and shoot a handgun safely. Protect yourself. Go to Top Gun Academy. They're at 2770 Witten Road.
I'm so excited.
I had a feeling you'd be excited.
That doesn't even begin to describe how I feel about the new Central Barbecue location on Central.
Well, technically, it's the same location.
Same location, but a very different Central Barbecue on Central.
I get what you're saying, but I don't want to confuse people. The new Central Barbecue location on Central is the same place as the old Central Barbecue on Central.
But it's so much more. It's big, for one thing.
It is a whole lot bigger. Well, I think it has to be.
Because everybody in Memphis is going to be flocking to the new Central Barbecue location on Central.
Where the old Central Barbecue on Central used to be.
Details.
Everyone needs protection, whether you're on the field or on the road, so make sure you have the best. Bob Simpson State Farm Insurance can buckle you up with auto insurance, can back you up with life and health insurance, cover your business whether it's starting, growing, or maturing, and don't forget to insure your home, no matter if you're an owner or a renter. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call Bob Simpson today at 901-381-1233 or go online and get a free quote at bobsimpson.org. Stay protected with your good neighbor, Bob Simpson.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 11 to join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is the PCUSA Church in Memphis.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. A couple of rain showers still exist out here in certain areas. We're going to see some rain over the next few days, so give yourself extra time out here because of rush hour traffic being affected by certain rain showers as it continues to build on 240 east from Mill Branch all the way out to 385 as you get on to Bill Morris Parkway. So far, so good. Now, it has picked up in the Midtown area on 240 southbound as you come past South Parkway. Weimer's Jewelry, conveniently located 7525 Highway 64, is your Valentine's Day headquarters. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This is Original Sports Station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Club Safety. Once again,
Say you stand by your man. Tell me something I don't understand. He said you love.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We start our third and final hour. Joining us now to talk some Grizzlies, the Commercial Appeal Grizzlies beat writer DeMichael Cole joins us now. DeMichael, a lot to get into in this segment, but let's start with last week's trade deadline. The question was, would the Grizzlies make a move? They did with only a couple minutes left on deadline day. They send out Marcus Smart and Jake LaRavia. What did you make of that move that involved both those players in a three-team trade?
Yeah, I mean, it was the deadline kind of went how I expected it to go for them in a way. I know, people live for the flashiness of the deadline and all of that good stuff, but it just when you lined up everything that made sense on the Grizzlies side. My whole point of view was that there wasn't a deal out there that was going to greatly improve this team. Like, sure, there were you can name player A, B, C, D, E, F, G going down the line that could make the Grizzlies better, but there wasn't a logical deal that would make sense for both sides based on how the market was playing out across the league that would make sense. And when you go through that, it's like, okay, so what can we do to make this team better? Whether it's for right now or whether it's for the long term. And from the Grizzlies standpoint, they took the route of, okay, look, we can't go get a Kevin Durant, a Cam Johnson, or however you want to slice it. So, you know what? Let's go get, some flexibility that's going to better suit us for the summer and things like that. So, the deals made sense and Zach Kleiman, who spoke to us on Friday, I mean, I thought that was the best presser that he's done since I've been here, at least, which has been since December of 2021. That was the best one that I've seen him do. And what he said, essentially, as it came to those two moves, is he admitted that the Marcus Smart trade, look, it didn't work out. Traded the first round, you traded some assets to go get him. You figured that he would be, a piece that would help you get closer to the championship contention. That was the case. Cut your losses, whatever. And he also talked about the fact that when the Grizzlies acquired Marcus Smart, they didn't have a backup point guard because Tyus Jones, who was gone at that time, they didn't have that defensive perimeter enforcer. And then over the course of time, Vince Williams, who was entering his second season that summer, he develops and becomes a pretty good defensive enforcer for you. Jalen Wells, we've seen how his rookie season's played out. And then Scottie Pippen Jr., how he's kind of taken the reins as a backup point guard option and another, defensive-minded guy as well. So basically, when they acquired Marcus Smart, they didn't have any of those guys in these type of roles. So what Marcus Smart brought to the table kind of became devalued in a way because the Grizzlies have that now. And you could say the same for Jake LaRavia. Like, he's a wing who, didn't get the most opportunities early on, but over the course of time, you found Gigi, you found Jalen Wells, you found Vince Williams, and to the same degree how Smart's role became devalued, so did his.
DeMichael, that Friday presser was really revealing, and I think it's also illustrative of if Zach Kleiman would give us a little more to where we wouldn't have to speculate, we wouldn't have to kind of fill in, kind of the guesswork on it, more rather than less. I so wish he would do that because I think he would learn that we're, most of us here are not looking to, for the big takedown story around the Grizzlies, mostly supportive. Give us a little more.
Yeah, and to a certain degree, I thought he was open, at this one. He dismissed the Jimmy Butler thing. We had talked about it on here. I talked to you guys about the idea that, like, look, there were a lot of rumors going around or whatever about this whole Jimmy Butler Grizzlies thing. But from the Memphis standpoint, like, as Zach Kleiman said, we don't know where that came from. Mm-hmm. He also said that some of the players that the Grizzlies went after, the quote-unquote star players that they went after, none of them got dealt. So it wasn't like they got outbid for a guy and someone else got them. And it's like, oh, the Grizzlies aren't aggressive enough or whatever the case may be. Nothing not only made sense for them, but there was nothing else that made sense to other teams as well for the players that they kind of coveted to take them to that next level. And, I thought he did a good job of explaining, like, the flexibility approach. Do I personally agree with it? Nah, because in particular with Marcus Smart, like Jake LaRavia, completely understand it, making that deal. You get a pick, and he wasn't going to be back next season. We just talked about the wing logjam. But in the case of Marcus Smart, as the deadline started to get closer, it made sense to me to say, hey, guess what? We see that he is not being valued around the league the way that Marcus Smart has been historically. So you know what we can do here? All right, let's see if we can kind of restore some of his value over the course of the rest of the season. He doesn't have to have a definitive role, but at some point, because injuries happen, because, guys come in the game, they provide a spark, whatever the case may be, at some point, you may need him over the next 2 months, and maybe even in a playoff series, whatever the case may be. Marcus Smart could come in handy at some point. And if it doesn't work out, if he's still injury-prone and he's playing terrible, however you want to slice it, if it doesn't work out, they could have made the same deal that they made at the deadline in the summer. So that was my only thing. But Zach, I thought he fairly explained it well, like how from a flexibility standpoint, they're positioned to do, whatever they want when the summer gets here.
Mm-hmm. I saw a lot of people upset about the fact that not only did you trade Marcus Smart, but you also added a first-round pick to it. That you gave up some first-rounders to get Marcus Smart. Now to get rid of him, you also have to give up a first-round pick. Did that 2025 first-rounder do anything for you?
No, I mean, it's a swing and a miss.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens, right? Like, people want the Grizzlies to be a power hitting team, right? You want the Grizzlies to be, a power hitting team. And if that's the case, if you want the Grizzlies to be one of those teams to swing for the fences and go out there and get the big guns, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. You're not going to go up there and hit a home run every single time. And in this case, they tried to make a big deal and getting a guy like Marcus Smart, and we saw it backfire for him. So it happens. I mean, I don't think there's a team out there that has kind of, made those deals and kind of struck gold every single time. So I think Zach Kleiman put it perfect. They cut their losses, and that was that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm with them.
Pretty candid.
Yeah, very candid. Let's go to Saturday night and the game against OKC, a game where it was really all OKC all night. The first meeting, it was a lot of turnovers for the Grizzlies. It's been a lot of turnovers most of the season. Turnovers not a huge issue for the Grizzlies Saturday night. It was the amount of offensive rebounds they gave up and just the three-point shooting from Oklahoma City. What did you see in that matchup? Brett said earlier that felt more like a statement from OKC in that win Saturday night.
Yeah, some OKC players said that too. Like it was a game that they put a little more stock into, or whatever the case may be. But look, I mean, I don't think there's any other way to put it. OKC's just better right now. Like
that's it.
They're a better team than the Grizzlies across. I think like there were people who were saying, "Oh, the fact that they're missing Chet kind of, helps the Grizzlies in that game." I think it was the opposite. Like I think if Chet would have played in just his second game back, the Grizzlies could have taken advantage of that, because if you watch that first game with Chet and Hartenstein playing together, they're not very cohesive yet. Like, that's going to take some time for the Thunder to figure out how to run that two-big thing. The Grizzlies could have took advantage of that. But without Chet, it was pretty much the same lineups that they've been running over the last couple months, a couple little changes, no Case and Wallace. So it was the fact that the Grizzlies were mostly healthy. That was the rotation that the Grizzlies are going to play if they run into this team in the playoff series or whatever the case may be. And the Thunder were missing a couple of the better defenders. Casey Wallace was out. Lou Dort was out.
Mm-hmm.
Chet, didn't play. It was just so many missed opportunities when I think of that game. Like Jaren Jackson Jr., he was solid on the offensive end, and I felt like they could have done even more to get Jaren the ball, and because he had the advantage. He had Jalen Williams on him. He was the one guy who kind of forced OKC's defense to adjust to him. And next time you see OKC, it's probably going to be Chet and Hartenstein, so it's not going to be as easy or as simple as it was in this game. But it kind of brings a bigger question, guys, because I think at the end of the day, and I think that you two would agree as well, this team goes as far as Ja Morant goes. Ja Morant is the ceiling, whereas we know how amazing Jaren Jackson Jr. and consistent he's been, but when Ja Morant is 20 points, 10 assists, 25 points, 8 assists, having those type of nights where he's pushing the tempo and controlling the game, that's when the Grizzlies, as a team, are at their peak, so to speak. But it's kind of become a thing over the course of the season. If you've been watching the Grizzlies, not even just this year, but just over the last couple years, and it's kind of going to boil into the evolution of Ja's game. When the Grizzlies play those teams that are really good at preventing paint points, those are the teams that Ja has struggled more against. And the Thunder, no one's better. So going into that game, I said, how will Ja score in this game? Is he going to use the floater? Is it going to be mid-range jumpers? Is he going to be efficient shooting the three ball? How will he get his basket? And it was a struggle for Ja most of the night. I think he was 1 of 10 at halftime. So that evolution for Ja is going to be important in terms of how the Grizzlies can kind of not only just compete with OKC, but beat them.
Boy, DeMichael, last week we had way too much excitement at FedEx Forum on the front row, feet on the wood. We had the medical scare last Monday night. Thank goodness that has taken a great turn for the better, and the gentleman, I think, is on the way to a full recovery. We're so glad of that, because that looked terrible. And then Saturday night in the general area, we had Ja Morant's dad getting the heave-ho. Who is it required from, or is it required from Grizzlies management or Ja to Mr. Morant? That's enough.
Yeah, well, going back to your first point, the man who required the medical emergency, I found out today I was told from a close friend of his that he's been released and he was able to go home on yesterday. So, great news for anyone that's still been looking for updates on that end. Now, T. Moran is who you're referring to in this case, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Josh Dad.
Yeah, so here's where I stand, Rick, because John Moran said something after the game, and he said he probably got kicked out, so I wouldn't. So if you watch the Grizzlies games, you'll notice that I wouldn't say a lot of dialogue between T and Ja over the course of the game, but there is dialogue there. Like T sitting courtside, some guys will be at the free throw line, T will be talking to Ja, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that's loving, supportive dad in my book.
Exactly. And there were people who told me that was sitting in that area that T. Morant said something of the sort of like the fix is in. That was kind of one of the things he said that I'm assuming, like, because the referee said there were, things said that was questioning the integrity of the game. That would fit the narrative of questioning the integrity of the game. Look, I think it was just frustration. I don't think that's T. Morant at every single game calling out the refs like that. I'm okay with it in that case. Like, do I agree that there was, some huge disparity? Like, I know it's frustrating on the Grizzlies side when you look up Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has 16 free throws attempts by himself, and Ja's like getting downhill, and he ends the night with 4 free throw attempts. But I mean, look, the Grizzlies took 38, 39 free throws in that game. So I'm not going to take that route as to, it had some big factor onto the game. Do I think that Ja has gotten an unnecessary amount of no calls over the course of the season? I think that's fair to say. I think that's very fair to say that Ja has been, on the wrong side of a few missed calls with, his playing style. He likes to get downhill. He's very aggressive in going to the basket. So I'm not opposed to the father kind of, I'm just taking Ja's perspective here. Like if it was between Ja and T and who was going to cut up to the referees, I'm sure that
let
most
T
people
take
would
the hit.
prefer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let the dad play the protect the father role and keep his son in the game.
Yeah. Talking to Michael Cole, he's the Grizzlies beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal. In that game Saturday night, you had both of your rookies starting, Jalen Wells and Zach Edey, but neither played many minutes, combined for only about 25 minutes. Both were taken out early in the third quarter, never returned. I know Taylor Jenkins was asked about that after the game. What did you make of the decision to take both those rookies out early in the third quarter?
I mean, they say actions speak louder than words, right? The actions showed me he doesn't trust them yet.
Yeah.
Not for these type matchups. Sure, they've been, two of the best rookies in the NBA, but at the end of the day, they're rookies. He doesn't trust them yet.
And they played like it Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before they got took out the game, I watched the whole sequence take place. It was right when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was being guarded by Jalen Wells, gets downhill. He drives to the basket. Jalen Wells looked like he appeared to be thinking that help was coming or something of the sort. Shai Gilgeous gets an easy two-handed dunk at the rim. Jalen Wells is looking at Zach Edey. Looked like Desmond Bain was looking at him as well. The guys go to the bench. Taylor Jenkins quickly calls a timeout. He's frustrated, but the coaches go out to the middle of the floor for their meeting. The players are in the huddle. Everyone's talking. Dez is talking. Brandon Clark, who wasn't even in the game, he's talking, trying to see what's going on. Jalen Wells is talking, to Desmond Bain, like they're trying to figure out what's going on from a communication standpoint that's allowing him to get these easy baskets. And immediately after that timeout, like you said, both rookies went out of the game to never return back into the game. So, I mean, it's that simple to me. He doesn't trust them all the way yet to play in these type of games against Oklahoma City, against the top teams. And I don't think that's some big negative indictment on what they mean to this team. I think eventually he wants to get to that point where they trust them, but it's going to take reps. And at the end of the day, it's fair. I mean, they're rookies, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's always, that's one reason why we've been so impressed with Jalen Wells, because he's a rookie and you're saying, go guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, that's not going to go well every time when 2 years ago you were playing at Sonoma State. So, I think it's just part of the growth process. But look, since those two guys are starters, I mean, we got to call it like it is. You need them to grow up a little bit faster than your typical rookie. Now, the Grizzlies have the fortune of, and that's kind of what, played out in that Oklahoma City game. You got Vince Williams Jr., who's healthy now, and he's kind of still, they're being careful with his minutes. If you notice, he kind of gave them a spark when Jalen Wells went out, but they played him so long they had to take him out of the game because, he just got back. So you got Vince Williams who's going to factor into some things there. Of course, we know with Brandon Clark as well. We'll see what Marvin Bagley is able to do after he gets healthy and, learns the system a little bit after the All-Star break. But they definitely kind of trying to give themselves other options so they don't feel like they're putting all the chips in the basket and kind of really depending on these rookies to, make or break the season in a way.
The rookie wall, do you think Zach Edey's approaching it?
No, I think it's the opposite. I think if you look at the way he's played, his rookie wall probably was more so January. Jalen Wells, you can make that argument. I think since mid-January, Jalen Wells shooting around 31% on three-pointers, and that's much lower than he had been up to that point of the season. So I think the two rookies are trending in different directions, so to speak.
And they're going to be busy at All-Star. They're not getting much of a break, DeMichael.
Yeah, they are. But even after that weekend's over, you got Monday, you got Tuesday, you got Wednesday. So they'll be fine. I think even when they go out there, like they're not going to be on their feet too much. They could end up playing Sunday. You mentioned they're not getting too much of a break. Like if they're both playing on the same team, their team wins on Rising Stars.
Travel Monday and then they travel Wednesday to go to Indiana.
Yeah.
That's not much break.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely something to point out. But look, I think Zach Edey has started to kind of really round into form in recent games. I think this Oklahoma City game was his first quote unquote mediocre or bad game this month. Jalen Wells has been a little bit more up and down as of late. But look, you just got Vince Williams back in. I mean, most people know I feel about Vince Williams. A healthy Vince Williams who's similar to, he's been out so long. Yeah. That's why I have to say, if he's the player he was last season in a better version of that, to me, when we get to April, you can make the argument that he's going to be the guy or should be the guy that's the starting small forward.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned both the rookies. They'll be at All-Star Weekend. Opportunity to play on Sunday with the All-Star Game little tournament format. We know Jerem will be there as well. What do you make? Do you like the changes to All-Star Weekend that we're going to see?
Man, I guess I'm like a contrarian when it comes to this because most people are frowning upon it or whatever. But at least for now, I like it.
Yeah.
Like I one player I talked to pointed this out to me, and it made sense because I was thinking the same thing. And to hear a player say it was like, okay, we're kind of thinking along the same line. Is the scoring method, like the way they're kind of framing this tournament, it kind of makes you be a little bit more competitive. Like you're only going to, I think it's like 40 points, 50 points. That's the target score. So it's not like you just out there, it's going to be out there just to throw alley-oops and do windmill dunks with no defense because you can get the 40 fast. You can get the 50 fast. So it's like, hey, what we doing? Like, let's play a little bit of defense. And then the other thing is when you get the Rising Stars playing on that last day, like, come on, no All-Star team wants to be the one that lost to the rookies and the second-year guys. Like, there's a pride thing that kicks in. So you got to show them, like, hey, y'all the young bucks. If Jalen Wells and Zach Edey are on the floor going against, Jaren Jackson Jr.'s team, they don't want to be showed up by some first-year and second-year guys. And those first-year and second-year guys, they're not going to come out there too cool on that game on Sunday. They're not going to come out there throwing it off the backboard and trying to do windmill dunks the entire time. They're going to try to win because they got something to prove. And the All-Stars are going to say, no, we're not about to lose to these. So the format, to me, kind of yields you into the idea that guys have got to be more competitive. Because to me, that's the goal. That's all I want. Like, these last 3 or 4 All-Star games have just been unwatchable, point-blank period, for me. Like, I can't even enjoy it anymore. Like, I used to – I think back to – I think it was 2011, 2012, whenever it was, maybe 2010, when Kobe Bryant and LeBron James were going back and forth from the baseline, and, like, LeBron's guarding Kobe, and then the next possession, Kobe's guarding LeBron. And, like, it's like this is what we want. You don't
Dwayne
have
Wade
that
drew
anymore.
blood from Kobe.
Yeah. You don't have that anymore. It's just like literally. I think the best way to put it for me is when you used to win All-Star Game MVP, you were really like, wow, he stood out at the All-Star Game. If you go look at the last 3-4 All-Star Game MVPs, it's simply just who's the most aggressive. Like, who's the guy that's going to get the ball and just say, I'm not passing it, and I'm going to go up there and score. You're going to win it because they're not going to try to stop you. Like, it's just who's going to be the one that says, I want to win the award. That's how it goes. That's why in the last few years, guys break the scoring record every year, whereas in the past, it was a little bit more difficult. So I think, basically, I'm a contrary. I don't think a lot of people like John, he wasn't too big on this new All-Star like framework or whatever. But I think it'll make them more competitive, and that's all I want.
Yeah.
DeMichael, sports always kind of finds the truth. It finds out who's better. Saturday night, when I got to the building pregame, I was really expecting a close game. I knew the spread between 1 and 2 was pretty good. I didn't realize it was that much. Did you know it was that much pregame?
I won't say I knew it was that much, but I knew there was a gap.
Yeah.
Only thing
it's bigger than I ever dreamed it was.
Yeah, it's bigger. Like, you could have talked me into the Grizzlies losing a 4-2 series before that game.
Me too.
Now I'm like,
no,
4-1 maybe if they run into OKC, and that's like I said, you caught them without Chet, you caught them without Cason Wallace, who's really underrated. I mean, he's a sneaky all defensive team candidate this year, and we know with Luke Dort. I mean, you caught them without some guys, and the Grizzlies had them on the second night of a back-to-back. It was the first time pretty much the entire rotation was available for Memphis. So, but you know what? This is what I keep going back to for the optimistic people out there. You better hope you get a situation like last season where a team like Dallas, who's played really good against them last year and this year, knocks them off for you, and then you don't have to play them because somebody else beats them. So that might be the best bet because they're a tough matchup for the Grizzlies for sure.
Yeah, they really are. DeMichael, are you going to be at All-Star Weekend?
Yep. I'll be leaving out. I'll be there on Thursday, so I'll get there a day before all the Rising Stars. I'm there over the course of the weekend, guys. So yeah, I'll be covering everything.
Good deal.
Yeah,
you should be, and you will be. Good deal.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. We're definitely going to keep an eye on all the work coming out of All-Star Weekend. I don't know if we'll catch up with you next Monday with everything going on with All-Star break, but enjoy All-Star Weekend, and we'll catch back up with you soon.
All right, take care, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Michael.
you.
To Michael Cole joining us from the Commercial Appeal, where he covers the Grizzlies. I know he's going to be pumping out a ton of content later this week, into this weekend with All-Star, with both the rookies, Jalen Wells and Zach Edey, going to participate in the Rising Stars, and then Jaren Jackson Jr. representing the team in the All-Star game. So be on the lookout over at the Commercial Appeal for all of his work out of All-Star Weekend. But before we get to a break, let me remind you about our 5 o'clock sponsor. It's Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984. Their talented team's ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility, with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender. Available in multiple models to fit your needs, the Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Go online to jaguarbluffcity.com, but please go out there and test drive these models. 6335 Will Cove, just off of Quince for Bluff City Jaguar. Well, let's get to another break, and when we return, we'll talk about what's trending.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday, it's happy hour from 3 to 6. $1 off all draft meals, $5 off meal drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and mozzarella sticks, queso, $4 a day. Friday night ice cream, 7 closing, dining in Montreal, Wednesday, 5 free. Watch college football every pro game. All at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland. Highway 70, fall is football. Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. Babbel is designed with you in mind. From expert-created lessons to conversational video units and even live classes, you can personalize your Babbel experience to be exactly what you need to really learn a new language more easily. Go ahead, set a goal for yourself. Accomplish it with Babbel. Try Babbel for free. Go to BABBEL.com. That's Babbel.com.
I'm Sean Sewer with XMC Technologies, your local source for the best in office technology for over 30 years. We believe that being a technology partner means meeting our clients' needs as they change over time. That's why I'm happy to share that we are now Visual Edge IT. As cyber attacks continue to be a growing threat, our customers are asking for more cybersecurity and ransomware protection. For more information on how to protect your office, visit us at visualedgeit.com or call us locally, 901-737-8910.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you just call for it. They aren't that many. Because if you're on the near you can optimize your for water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? We have it covered at Humdinger. It's quick, it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. Many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. A couple of accidents that have occurred out here are in their clearing stages. It's building over here, right where you would expect on 240 East coming past Airways, getting onto 385 as that starts to crank up. Now on Billmore Parkway going outbound, you got all that traffic this time of the afternoon headed out towards Collierville. I'm telling you, we're still seeing some pretty good rain showers out here. Just depends on where you are. As 51 picks up now, headed northbound, headed up into the Millerton area going up through Woodstock. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, serving the Memphis area for well over 40 years. They are your Valentine's Day headquarters. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Back in Sports Time, Bryant and Brett with you as we got about 30 minutes left in today's show. And about 30 minutes ago, a little more than 30 minutes ago, we were doing big number of the day. You said starting quarterbacks. numbers, 6? And what was the other number we need to top 20? 2. So I was thinking, I completely forgot about this person, but we had a texter on the text line text in Baker Mayfield number 6. Maybe Baker Mayfield can get in there with Tampa Bay.
That is a good one. He sure is a 6.
Maybe he could make something happen and
He
be
is
the first
a
number
6.
6.
Thank you, texter. Very good. Who would be a 2?
I don't know about any 2s.
2's often backup.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm sure we could go through a ton of backup quarterbacks that are number 2. I don't know.
Yeah, Trask is. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know of any starters though, but.
Well, I would love it if Baker Mayfield got there.
I like Baker Mayfield, so yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all.
I'm trying to think, has number 6 ever even gotten on the field in a Super Bowl?
It's a good question.
At quarterback.
Yeah.
Even in a reserve role, but Jalen Hurts, he gets there, and now the big debate: who has rights to him, Bama or OU?
Well, that's a good question.
Can't we just be both?
Yeah, it's a good question. I didn't look. I'm guessing maybe Oklahoma posted something about
both did. Both had
did
the
they
graphic.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You're kidding.
I mean,
man.
All right. Here's the pro Bama argument. I think it falls on deaf ears. I think it's where you end up last.
Yeah.
But that was just a year at OU. He was at Bama, SEC Offensive Player of the Year. Went, SEC championship game. I think MVP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a tricky question. I'm glad both of them posted. That's hilarious.
And I'll often ask it. I mean, who has the Buckeyes Rebels in the NFL rights to Quinshon Judkins?
Yeah.
He won a national championship for Ohio State.
True.
But second all-time leading rusher at Ole Miss in 2 years would have destroyed the record book.
Now, that's an even better question because, you raise a really good point of on y'all's pre- and post-game show, y'all have a Rebels in the NFL. Would fans be upset if they're listening to the pregame show and they hear Rebels in the NFL?
What a great Sunday Quinshon had.
Yeah, he ran for 87 yards and a touchdown. I'm sure there are some Ole Miss fans that would text in, email in, call in saying, "Don't talk about Quinshon Judkins. That's not a Rebel in the NFL." And
while I'm plenty mindful of what the fans want and what they like to hear, the first person I'm going to check with is the head coach.
Yes. And so, I never thought about it in that sense, but that's a really good.
The biggest blowback I ever got, and I understand why, nobody wanted to hear anything after the allegations around Greg Hardy.
Yeah, I can see that. That's understandable.
And that happens. Sometimes the former player becomes persona non grata.
Yeah, that happens. I when you said that, I was like, what name is he going to pull out? And I didn't have that one, but that's the one.
I was prattling through the week before, and the next week I was told no more.
Next week you come in and they go, hey, maybe no more Hardy talk.
And very, very different. Not even a gentle segue to it. The NFL, like the Oscars, they always have that in memoriam that they run. If you're there at the Super Bowl, they do it, and it's really something to realize between last year and this year. You've lost that many stars. No mention of OJ.
Yeah, you're right. Wow, I didn't even think about that, but you're right.
No, also no mention of OJ. They're even Buffalo's not even referring to him as a past MVP winner after Josh Allen won it. Look, he rushed for 2K in 73.
Yeah, wow.
But
he is O.J. Simpson.
Yeah,
that carries a lot of baggage. Wow, that is weird.
And the whole, do you just ignore and you wipe things off the record book because you don't like some aspect? Now there are certainly extenuating circumstances.
Definitely. But I mean, when it's hard to rewrite the history of the NFL or the history of football.
And I'm not here to relitigate the OJ trial.
No. But I mean, when you talk about...
I lived through that once.
Well, yeah. Huh.
On these airwaves.
Believe me, we won't be doing that again. But no, I mean, when you talk about the history of football and running backs in football, it's hard not to talk about what O.J. Simpson did on the field. It's impossible.
2,000 yards in a 14-game season.
But I also understand the side of what he did off the field. And so I think there is a way to have those separate, but it's complicated.
Yeah, and he has not been removed or in statue taken down at Canton.
Yeah. So
and I don't think should.
No, I don't either. But it's complicated, I guess.
It is. Our handicappers on Friday, a lot of picks. Bruce Marshall went 2-3 on Super Bowl. For the year in the NFL, he was 25-28. For the year in college football, he was 82-65. 557 college football, 471 NFL. Overall, 107-87 for a 549 picking year.
Wow.
You'll take that.
Yeah.
Alan Bell, college football, 34-31. I think most people who listen to our show know that we do a little more NFL emphasis with Alan during the course of the year and college with Bruce. That's why the numbers are different. 523, 34-31 in college. Friday, he was 7-4 on a bunch of NFL picks, and he was 56-51 for the year. 523 college, 523 pros. Guess what his average at 90 and 82 was? 523.
523.
That's
right.
it. Doug Kazarian for the year in college, 23-20, 534. Wow. Last Friday he was 5-3 NFL, 33-20 for the year, 622 on just NFL for the year. Every pick 56-40, 583. We got some good handicappers.
And another thing, just to keep in your mind, is there are guys that go on shows across the country and they say, these are the games I want to talk about. And these are the games these are my best plays, these are the picks. None of our guys are let me give these picks. It is
rare.
Just
Very
shoot
rare.
from the hip, whatever you want to talk about.
Sometimes just to jog their memory, they might say, "Hey, don't forget about." But that's rare.
It's very rare. It's very
rare.
rare.
It's usually off the cuff. They don't know what we're firing at them, and
that's right.
And for them, a lot of times it's duplicate picks. Because we're asking about the local. We're asking about what do you think the Tigers and Ole Miss and Tennessee's going to do, and Arkansas. So it's sometimes it's the same pick. That's not anywhere close to their favorite games.
No,
and for them to do that, just rapid fire, good years.
And the great thing about it is, football season might be done, but especially our Friday guests, Alan, I think his best sport might be college baseball, and starts Friday. And then
no doubt.
Bruce is really good when it comes to college basketball and the NBA. So I mean, both those still going. So we'll still have a ton of picks from those guys.
And Doug with
Doug's
the NBA,
been killing the NBA with us.
We introduced him as college football historian. Bruce will tell you in a second his favorite sport is soccer.
Yeah, international soccer. He loves. I mean, in all the places
I always
he
tell
travels.
him, and we're never getting any picks on it either. Thank you.
Well, hey, if Bruce
we want people to listen.
If Bruce wants to send me off air his soccer picks, I will gladly take them. But yeah, I don't know how many people are listening, wanting Spanish soccer picks.
We were due a stinker and we got it. And I got lucky on just that feeling.
Yeah,
but more than that feeling,
I blame you for it.
I know, but more than that feeling was seeing what Philadelphia did to Washington.
Yeah, I mean,
and knowing Kansas City had threaded that needle all year. I don't want to criticize them.
No.
I swear, and I've never liked or disliked Kansas City. I came out of yesterday with more respect than I've ever had for Andy Reid and Mahomes because I don't think this was close to their best pitch.
No, certainly not. And I think we talked about it earlier. You have to give, a ton of credit to this Eagles team and what they did kind of going in. We talk about it all the time, especially when it comes to Tiger basketball. Just win the game, and the Chiefs have done that all year long. Yeah, it might not have been, against the point spread or whatever it might be. It might not have been the margin that people wanted, but they came in very hot, only 2 losses on the season. They're the dynasty. They're going to go out there and win 3 straight. I mean, a three-peat on the line, and that didn't matter. You go back to last week when we had a lot of our pickers. We talked about it earlier in the show, where when we were asking all our guests for picks on this game, a lot of time it came down to, well, the Eagles might be the more talented team, but they don't have Patrick Mahomes. They don't have Andy Reid. They're not the dynasty. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think when you looked at this, the Eagles were the more talented team going into this game. You mentioned what they
Rosters
did.
Wasn't even close.
Wasn't even close. And so the better team out there won, and they won. They made it look easy.
And seeing that game, does that make the offseason, the long, cold Buffalo winter, even worse on Buffalo, on the Bills?
Yeah, I think so, because, you can play that game a million times in your head if you're Buffalo of, well, if we were there, we would have put up a better fight. We wouldn't have gotten blown out.
It's a little like that spread in the West the Grizzlies have to look up at.
Yeah.
Man, we can't get over them.
No, I mean, and that was just hearing you and DeMichael kind of talk about that in our last segment of, did you realize that gap was there? I mean, it's just, all it is, 1 seed, 2 seed right now in the West.
10 miles.
But that gap feels so much wider, especially after seeing those two teams play on Saturday. And so, I
just kept sinking lower in my seat the whole game Saturday.
Yeah, you didn't want to even be seen there, but it was...
This is really happening, and sports proves that.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Proved it Saturday night, proved it Sunday night.
It sure did. I wasn't there Saturday night, and so I was watching it on television, and the amount of times that it got brought up during the broadcast of, OKC is a middle of the road. I think they're somewhere in the 20s in terms of three-point shooting. But you look at what they did Saturday night against the Grizzlies, just came out, and it felt like everything they threw up was going in. You had Aaron Wiggins.
Corner, wing, top of the key.
Yeah, I mean, nothing was missing. Aaron Wiggins, 8 for 13 from 3 in that game. I mean, they can just hurt you in so many different ways.
Bryce, you mentioned it earlier, the Jerry Palm mentioned with David Cobb, and we had Shelby on talking about his bracket. You mentioned the Tigers as a 4 seed. I'm looking further at Jerry Palm. Jerry has Ole Miss as a 4 seed also.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of brackets out there that you can find one or the other as the 4 or the 5 in the same bracket. That would be potentially a second-round NCAA tournament matchup if Tigers and Ole Miss got in the same bracket.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That's certainly storylines galore around
and
here.
And potentially the next weekend to run into a 1 seed Tennessee.
Oh, man, yeah. Well, that would plenty of storylines there if that were to happen. But no, I mean, I think a lot of these matchups you see, whether it's the first round or the second round, it's a lot of fun. I mean, you look at, I know it doesn't have the, what it would have had last year or the year before, but in Jerry Palm's bracket, Memphis gets past Samford, they're likely playing Kentucky in the second round. Obviously it's not John Calipari in Kentucky.
Close enough.
But it's still Kentucky, and I think that would be big.
Yeah. That would be, and I'm looking at that as well right now. That's Kentucky Open against George Mason. George Mason, their chant would be "Remember 06."
That's right. Yeah, George Mason. They've got a good team this year, so that could be a tricky game for
Samford,
Kentucky.
Arkansas State, UALR. Boy, you don't want to play them in the first round.
Yeah, no, I mean that's at least what it looks like right now. The seed that Memphis is going to be, whether it's a 4 or 5, if they're going to be in that
Jacksonville
range,
State.
Yeah, I mean these are the teams that I think really worry you because they're going to be the teams. They're really good, fundamentally sound mid-major teams. They're going to be conference champions. They're going to be coming in with a lot of momentum, and those are not the teams that you like playing.
Make 9 threes.
Yeah, they come out, they don't turn the ball over, they knock down a million threes, and and you're out of it. And so, those are scary matchups. And
2:00 game in an arena that's 20% full.
Exactly.
That's how it happens.
Exactly. And so, I almost. I know we were talking about it with with Shelby Mast in his bracket where he has them a little bit lower playing Vanderbilt in the first round. I think I'd much rather play Vanderbilt than one of these. So. Yeah, I know so. I'd rather play.
Well, first of all, Vanderbilt wakes you up. Okay, we got to get ready for SEC.
Yes, exactly. I would way rather play one of these power conference teams in a first round game than I would one of these sneaky mid-major teams that it seems like the Tigers will probably get if they land in that at 4-5. But we'll see. Tigers playing really good ball right now, and so I think they would be really, have a really good chance against any team they face in the first round. Let's go ahead, get to our final break of the day. When we return, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm so excited.
I had a feeling you'd be excited.
That doesn't even begin to describe how I feel about the new Central Barbecue location on Central.
Well, technically, it's the same location.
Same location, but a very different Central Barbecue on Central.
I get what you're saying, but I don't want to confuse people. The new Central Barbecue location on Central is the same place as the old Central Barbecue on Central.
But it's so much more. It's big, for one thing.
It is a whole lot bigger. Well, I think it has to be.
Because everybody in Memphis is going to be flocking to the new Central Barbecue location on Central.
Where the old Central Barbecue on Central used to be.
Details.
Hear that? The relaxing sound of ambient music in a yoga class. And if you were here, you could see 15 people taking the but you're not here. Your self-care happens out on the road, riding a motorcycle protected by Progressive. So if you were like to quote today and see if you could save with Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer, and find inner peace with a different pose. Call Arms on Handlebars. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company.
Hi, this is Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a mother pheasant plucker, I pluck mother pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Five Ash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Sometimes you just want to make it fast, like the fun that comes from a quick and nimble 2024 Honda CB500F. This amazing style streetlights with a narrow 471cc twin, along with sleek TFT's blade, dual disc front brakes, and standard ABS. All running at 4 cars. Find fun in all white Lexus 2024 Honda CB500F. Available at DeSoto Honda, 5656 Golden Road, Orange.
Pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskell.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today comes from Jonah Dillon. Again, I've gotten a lot of my material today from Jonah Dillon. I need to text him and thank him when we're done with this show.
I saw him Saturday night. Thank you, Jonah.
Yeah, thank you, Jonah. Well, this comes from a tweet because I had no idea about this, but it came, Jonah Dillon put me on to this based on his Twitter. This comes from the NBL, the National Basketball League in Australia. The nominations for the Andrew Gaze MVP Awards night have been announced. The 3 finalists, Bryce Cotton, Matthew Hurt, and Kendrick Davis, the former Memphis Tiger. Kendrick Davis, one of 3 finalists for the NBL MVP. He averaged 24.6 points and 8 assists per game this season for the Adelaide 36ers. Also, Matthew Hurt and Bryce Cotton, the other 2 finalists, have both played for the Memphis Grizzlies. So a lot of Memphis connection, Memphis ties in the NBL MVP. Bryce Cotton went on to win the award, but definitely good to see Kendrick Davis finding a lot of success overseas.
Who has rights to Kendrick Davis as a college player?
I would say Memphis.
I would too.
I would give it to Memphis. I mean, you know,
it was the last place, his biggest impact.
Yeah, I would certainly give it to Memphis.
But I don't mind sharing.
No, I can share.
What I learned, best week of basketball last week in Ole Miss basketball history. Yes, I just said that, and yes, I mean it. Massacre the Big Blue Cult in Oxford, and then steal one at PMAC. Pure theft. Jesse and Frank James didn't rob banks like that. And to win one like that, where across the street at Tiger Stadium, they have inflicted so much pain on Ole Miss. Best week in Ole Miss basketball history.
Yeah, it was a really good week. What I could have done without, it's got to be the L.A. Lakers. What a rough week for them that this could turn into. We'll start off with Saturday, a game that ESPN moved to the 4 big letters, ESPN, in the middle of college basketball. Saturday, they moved the Florida-Auburn game, a top 10 matchup, to ESPN2 to show the Lakers because they thought Luka Doncic would be playing. Not only did he not play, LeBron James did not play either. Now, the Lakers did go on to win that game, but later into the night, Saturday night, it came out that Mark Williams, the center they acquired from the Charlotte Hornets, was going back to Charlotte because of a failed physical. The reporting that has come out, very limited, says that it has nothing to do with his back, which a lot of people thought would be a big issue. But Mark Williams not healthy enough to pass his physicals and play for the Lakers, now being shipped back to Charlotte. And now because the trade deadline's behind us, I guess they can go and try to find a guy in the buyout market, but not a lot out there.
They said several issues with the Mark Williams medical.
Yeah, it was not good at all.
They were trying to unload injury.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was crazy.
Could have done without that Grizzlies loss Saturday night to Oklahoma City. It was sobering. It was a big bucket, a humble pie served up. No doubt about it. Counted as just one. But it felt bigger than that. The Oklahoma City rubbed the Grizzlies' noses in it. And in Philly, they don't rub their noses in it. They eat the stuff in the street. But we just got our nose rubbed in it Saturday.
That's right. At least we don't have to eat it. But I guess Philly, they're doing it on their own. Where are you beaming tonight?
That's some party celebration. Old Southwest Conference game tonight in Houston. Cougars at well-lit Hawthorne versus Baylor. Scott Drew, he has his national championship. Kelvin Sampson trying to get his. The job he's done at Houston is spectacular. One of the all-timers.
It's been unbelievable. Beam me to the game that gets started here in a couple minutes. North Carolina on the road against Clemson. Clemson, huge win over Duke. Can they keep that up? North Carolina needs some wins if they want to make the NCAA tournament.
They can't lose enough to be out of all the bracketology.
No, they can't. It's that Tar Heel swagger they have.
They're at Clemson. Duke couldn't win at Clemson, but you know who could win at Clemson?
Memphis. Yeah, they sure could. It's going to be a really good night. Luka's supposed to make his debut tonight for the Lakers in the NBA. Limited slate in college basketball. Yeah, it's the 9 o'clock game on ESPN. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.